Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Honor with Heather podcast. Today I am just doing a solo episode. This episode is for new stylists, hair school students, those who are in their first year out of hair school, going through apprenticeship, just starting out in the industry. This episode is titled, What I Wish I Knew, Advice for Stylists in Their First Year Out of Hair School. Come along. So I really felt called to do a podcast on this particular topic, talking about what it's like the first year out of hair school and like being a new baby stylist. In a lot of the conversations that I've had with other stylists, it's just been like very apparent that it's the hardest time right now to start out in the industry, but by no means should that defer you or make you not want to start in the industry. But it is a difficult time, so I do think that like any sort of advice that one can get is worth having, so hopefully you will enjoy this episode. I myself have been behind the chair, oh gosh, it'll be 10 years in January, which is crazy. I have, in that time, worked as a stylist. I did my apprenticeship. I went and opened a studio. I started by myself. I hired an apprentice. Then there was the two of us. Then we started hiring staff. Then we opened a salon. Along the way, I've done a podcast and I've also kind of worked on some creative projects here and there. So like kind of a little bit of everything. Really, I've found in the industry, my passion lies in like marketing myself, building an online presence, as well as like relationships with clients, with people, and with other people in the industry. And then just education, sharing knowledge, and really not gatekeeping, because I think there's a lot of that in the industry and we just like don't need it. So to start off, I'm going to share a little bit about my first year behind the chair. My journey was a little interesting because I actually decided that I wanted to become a hairdresser. And I got a job in a salon right away. I was working as an apprentice. Well, I guess I wasn't even an apprentice yet. I was working as a receptionist, and then I kind of like shifted into the apprentice role. And I think for me, like the reception desk was really a place of comfort. Like that was a job that I could really sink my teeth into easily. Like I'd been a server, I'd worked at the MAC makeup counter. So my customer service skills were pretty good, and like answering the phones and kind of directing clients was really nice and easy. And then when I transitioned into being an apprentice, everything changed. This is where I truly say that the person who mentors you as a baby stylist is so important to shaping your career. I found that in my first salon, as I was kind of transitioning into the apprentice role, that I really wasn't feeling like I was being respected. I didn't really feel that I was learning anything, but rather just being thrown to the wolves, being like, hair, blow dry, figure it out. Here, wash hair, figure it out. And I was really more of like a personal assistant to my mentor at the time, rather than like learning the ropes of doing hair. And it was very overwhelming for me. I felt like I was kind of the odd person out, and I can't say I enjoyed the experience in my first salon. So I actually decided at that point to quit, go back to my serving job, and then just go to hair school and figure it out after. I'm not sure if that was necessarily the right approach, but I do think that it's really important to find the right salon right off the hop. And once you do, even though the work is difficult, you've got to stick with it. So I went to hair school, and then I got a job in a salon as an apprentice. So I didn't even touch the desk at that point. And a lot of it in the beginning was not fun. It was doing laundry. It was mopping floors. It was separating foils. It was being yelled at to be here and then being yelled at to be there and watch this, and dealing with a lot of personalities. I felt that like there was a lot of really big personalities in the salon, and you never knew what you were going to get from any number of them. So it was just like a very scary and very overwhelming experience. And I do think that a lot of new stylists have this, because in hair school, you're kind of like nurtured and babied and you get to learn everything, and then you go on the floor and you can do whatever you want on the floor. You just have to check in with a stylist, or sorry, with your teacher, I guess it would be. But when I was in apprenticeship, I didn't get a floor day. A month went by and I didn't get a floor day. 3 months went by and I didn't get a floor day. 6 months went by and I was crying to the owner, begging for a floor day. And that's where I think my next piece of advice comes in, is like, you have to advocate for yourself. So One, you need to make sure you have a good mentor, the right salon fit. And two, no one's going to advocate for you. You have to advocate for yourself. I want the tone of this conversation to be like honest, encouraging, and real, because I don't want anyone to get discouraged based on my experiences. What I experienced in apprenticeship really made me want to change apprenticeship, and now that I'm a salon owner, give so much more to whoever is sitting in that role, because I know how delicate it is. That's going to take me into my next point, which is building a clientele takes time. So once I finally got a floor day, I was stoked. I was like, okay, I've got one day a week where I get to do my clients. This is great. And I'd have somebody booked, and they'd be booked for a couple weeks, and then they'd cancel or they'd reschedule. And then I wouldn't be spending my floor day doing hair. I'd be spending my floor day doing chores, just the same as I was every other day. And I would feel really, really discouraged by this. The first year can feel slow, and it is hard to develop and build a clientele. It's even harder now to market yourself online because this industry is so saturated. So I'm going to share with you what my best tips are for building a clientele in your first year out of hair school. First of all, you want to get anyone and everyone you can into your chair. I know there's a lot of services that stylists, as they start to specialize, don't want to do. Let's say you don't want to do men's cuts, or you don't want to do perms, or you're really not comfortable with blonding or anything like that. But I think in the first year, you want to get any type of person with any type of service, any type of hair in your chair, no matter what. Whether they are a model, whether they are paid, you want bums in your chair. Bottom line. Here is the best way to do this. So I do think that there is some value in marketing yourself online and social media. I think it is great to, make yourself a profile, a hair profile, post everything that you do. Say you're a new talent stylist, say that you're taking new clients, share everything, whether or not you feel like the work is quality or whatever, share it all. And be specific to the location where you are at. So you want to make it very clear in your bio that you are in my case, Calgary, Alberta, downtown, and start to envision like how you can meet people through local and surrounding businesses in your area. So encourage yourself to network with other stylists, local businesses, apartment complexes, anything like that, anywhere where you can leave a business card, anywhere where you can like tag them on social media, and start to kind of work within your region. Run promos as your salon gives you permission to. Bring in models as your salon gives you permission to. Post work that you feel passionate about, but really in the first year, post everything. Some tips on client retention is you want to make sure that when your clients are coming in that you're rebooking them. I think pre-booking is something that actually really helps me grow my career a lot, and I still have clients who are with me from my very first salon because I was actively rebooking them. Following up with clients. So being like, hey, Linda, I did your haircut last week. Just wanted to check in, see how the bangs are feeling. That sort of thing is really going to build loyalty with clients right off the hop. Here's another tip that I will give you that this was given to me as a student, and I still use this tip behind the chair, and that is to ask for referrals. You're not going to be able to assume that your clients are automatically going to refer you every single time. So if you, at the end of your service, say, hey, thank you so much, Linda, for coming in today. I really appreciate your business. I am actively trying to grow a clientele. Here's 3 or 4 business cards. If you would be so kind as to refer anybody to see me, I would, very much be grateful for that. If your salon offers a referral program, then you could be like, I'll give you $20 off your next service or a complimentary cut the next time or something like that to kind of incentivize that referral. Last but not least, don't give up, because it takes a long time to build a clientele. Like I said, I've been in the industry for about 10 years and I'm very comfortable with my clientele right now. It's taken a lot of time to get there. Okay, so the next thing that I would say is so important when you are a new stylist building your clientele is to know that communication is everything. Your consultations are key and they are so important. It's going to set the tone for the whole entire service and how successful you are, how much money you make off the service, how much retail you sell, and pre-booking. All of those things are something that you want to make sure you're touching on in consultation. If you can't remember this, I would suggest writing down all the questions that you want to make sure that you ask your client and all the things that you want to make sure that you're touching on. Remember that you are in control of this. If you are wanting some sort of reference for this, I do have a consultation form for new talent stylists available on my Planoli website, and I will put the link in the show notes if you want to grab that. It's super easy and it'll be a great reference for you for going through your consultations. Just remember that because a client wants something, you are a new talent stylist and you don't always have to say yes. It is okay to manage your clients' expectations, and it's okay to say no professionally. If you feel like something's out of your wheelhouse, don't touch it, because you are probably going to end up with a redo. That being said, a redo is not the worst thing. You're going to learn something from it. So you kind of have to balance what it is that you do or do not want to be doing behind the chair. And I will share a story about when I was newly a stylist. I had a girl come in and ask for what I thought was an asymmetrical bob. I think she had a completely different idea in her head of what it was going to be. We didn't really look at images, so we didn't really have that like connection of this is what I want, this is what I'm getting, which I would say, again, for new stylists, that's critical in your consultations. And she ended up crying in my chair. So, it happens, but it's nice to be able to learn from those mistakes. The next thing I want to talk about is boundaries in this business. And I also want to touch a little bit on mentor relationships and just respect in the industry overall. So you are in a service industry, yes, but you are also running a business. And whether you work for a salon or you work for yourself, you are always in the business of your hair business. So it doesn't matter if you're being paid commission or if you're paying for a chair rental, you are still responsible for your business. I think it's very important to set boundaries early in your career. Time management, no-shows, emotional labor, emotional discounting, all of that, I think you need to have a stance on that. You need to charge accordingly. You need to charge appropriately. And you also need to, if a client's late, you need to have a conversation with them about it. If they're not going to show up, you need to have a cancellation policy in place. Most salons have this, so you'll learn this as you go through the salon. But if they don't, then that is the responsibility is on you to set that up. I will say that relationships are the most important thing to building a lasting hair career. If you are working in a salon and you decide that this salon is not the right fit for you, you need to be able to exit it professionally and with grace. Because the thing is, a lot of cities, everybody in the hair industry knows each other. Every salon owner knows each other. Every supplier knows what's going on. And it really is a small industry. It's not one you want to burn bridges in. This is a really important piece of advice that I have for people who are coming out of hair school. You do not know it all. You have not arrived. You actually have to take a ton more education to even be close to stylists that you might be working alongside in the salon. So you need to take your ego out of it and be humble enough to learn from the people around you. Ask everyone for advice and learn from everybody. Give them 2 weeks notice, work out your 2 weeks notice, and do it in a professional way. I've seen so many stylists burn bridges, and it's just not the way to go. Okay, you do not want to have to feel like you have to block a salon owner, or you have to block another stylist, or that you did anything to cause drama in your first year of being out of hair school. It is so important that you have good relationships. You never know when a relationship that you have had in a salon is going to come up and be important to you down the road in your career. So building a good foundation with respect and good relationships for everyone in the hair industry is so important. I can't stress this enough. And mindset, imposter syndrome is normal. There is so much saturation in this industry. So I do encourage you to keep going, even though it may feel uncomfortable at some. Sometimes there's some really great growth and uncomfortabilities, so it is worth it. I would encourage you to rest, take care of yourself, take your days off, unplug, work on your body, like go to the gym, go to yoga, go to the chiropractor, go do massage, whatever it is you need to do to keep your body physically well, because this is a career that requires physical stamina that you are going to need in the long run. I think there's a lot of pressure to appear very booked and busy right off the hop, and it's okay if you're not busy right off the hop. Sometimes not being busy is a sign that there is something else that you need to pay attention to, whether it's like cleaning your supplies, cleaning your station, taking some time off to rest, spending time with friends or family, like all of these things are really important. So you do want to make sure that you're keeping your mental just as sharp as you possibly can. If you liked this episode, I just would love for more people to discover and enjoy the Honor with Heather podcast. I have a lot of resources available for new stylists. Like I said, I do have that consultation form that you can access, and that will be really helpful for doing your consultations. I also have a couple of e-courses, 2 on hairdressing techniques. So one on like money piece, which is kind of like that front face rimming piece, as well as blonding. And then I have another course that is on marketing and how to build and market yourself online. I also have a couple freebies and resources on my Planoli. So do make sure to check those out. I will leave them in the show note. If you love this podcast, please follow, please like, please give us a review. Everything helps. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope that you have a wonderful and beautiful hair career ahead of you.